Hey Mukul.
Hi, Meghana.
Hi. So yeah, it's quite exciting. How do you feel?
Good. I mean, this is becoming a regular thing now. We're just doing a lot of
Yeah.
video calls and Zoom calls, and Insta Live is the first for me. So yeah,
Yeah, that's true. It's the second live for me. The first happened like about 2 weeks ago. And that kind of set the premise to this, like our discussion
yeah,
around luxury eyewear. So I
yeah.
guess we have a few people on. I'll probably give them a disclaimer because everyone's here for two reasons. One, to learn about silhouette eyewear, and the other to win the silhouette eyewear. So yeah, so we had like a small contest which was a run up to this session, right?
Right,
So people had to do a couple of things. One was they had to put up a post on their stories,
right.
tagging someone that they would nominate as the winner of the Silhouette Eyewear. And then they had to tag us too. And the other thing that they need to do is attend the live session today and answer the prize question that is going to come up. So the surprise question is going to come up at any time during the session, and no one knows when. It's a surprise to you and me as well. So I guess they just have to stay tuned to, what we are going to be discussing.
Yeah,
So that's the
right.
only clue that I'm giving everyone right now. You know what we are going to be discussing so that when the question pops up, you get the answer because it's going to be from our conversation itself. Right. So I guess we can get
Is it?
started. Mukul, I've known you because we both interacted with each other through different connections.
Yeah,
And we only got speaking to each other because we both share a similar interest, which is silhouette, eyewear, the industry.
yeah.
Right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and, how you've been associated with Silhouette Eyewear, just to set the pace.
I work with a family company of ours called Optician Corporation. We've been in the trade, in the optical trade, I think over 40 years now. My grandfather was in the trade, and I think I've been all been associated with Silhouette.
Okay.
Silhouette themselves are a family company. I think it was founded in 1964. So they themselves are a family company that have passed on the company down generations, and also now they have members of the family taking care of it. One of the youngest guys in the company who just joined, somebody pretty much close to our age, is a guy called Michael Schmidt. So he's the youngest generation in the company now.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
and yeah, so this is the association we've had with them, and we've been distributing Silhouette in India for almost 64 years now, right, since their inception in different mechanisms. So yeah,
Wow. Okay. So you guys have been associated with Silhouette as long as they've been around, right?
yeah,
Like in
that's right.
India.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. So no one can tell their story better or share their story better. You guys are like family to them, and you'll have been working with each other for a long time.
yeah,
So, which is why it's so great to have you over here because we have always known Silhouette as like this beautiful brand. It's never been over the top commercial. It's always been focused on eyewear, and their designs are so good. I know people who have been wearers of Silhouette who have always said that, this is it. I
yeah.
don't want to wear anything else. I just want to wear Silhouette. Going on to the next question, just tell us about Silhouette Eyewear, like the origins, anything. How would you describe the essence of the brand and tell us about the brand?
So, like I said earlier, it was founded in 1964 by Mr. and Mrs. Arnold Schmidt, were the initial founders, the senior members of the company that founded it. And I think historically, even then, back in the day, from things that I'm told, I mean, we weren't around back then, but from things that I'm told, even then, the vision was pretty much the same as it is now, is to try and produce premium eyewear and sort of create a benchmark and have make premium eyewear. And even back in the day when they started the company, it seems there was some form of lacuna in the market for light eyewear, like light products. Back in the day, you used to get products that were heavy and thick and big rimmed and this kind of thing. So they wanted to nail this gap, so to speak, and tried with a vision to start the company to have a product that could be light or as light as possible. So that I think
So this
was,
is in
yeah,
like
1964.
1965. So
1964.
when 1964. So when they started, it was really thick and bulky frames. We used to see those big chunky
Yeah,
glasses.
yeah.
So Silhouette came in and they plugged that gap, and that's when they created these beautiful thin eyepieces.
So the thinner pieces, I think,
Yeah.
started coming closer to the maybe late 70s, early 80s. But even I think if you see some of their acetate frames back in the day, they didn't have one of the patented materials I'll talk about later, was still
Mm-hmm.
somehow lighter than a normal acetate or a normal plastic material that you see today. So that was the vision. I mean, obviously, it's evolved over the years. I mean, they've sort of spent a lot of money on research and development over the years. That continues to be one of the things they do, which sort of enables them to evolve the materials they use and sort of achieve the lightness that they wish to sort of use in their products. With regard to the essence of the product, I think most people will agree, like in the trade or even end users that have the product or that wear the product, I think most people will agree that the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Silhouette predominantly is lightness. I mean, everybody knows when you wear a Silhouette, it's light, it's comfortable, it's light. I mean, these are the few points that they also sort of associate themselves with. The adjectives that they associate themselves with is lightness and minimalism. So again, one of the first few companies, I think, in the world, I mean, maybe you know, being in the trade, one of the first few companies in the world that created products that were screwless, that were hingeless. These kind of things were actually not heard of at the time when they came out with products like this. I actually even remember my dad telling me a story maybe 8 or 10 years ago when I just joined the trade, that when he got the flexible product that you know of, I mean, people in the office were laughing at him at one point, saying, what has he got? Because he was young back then, and, he was associated with Silhouette. A lot of the sales guys had been with him for a long time. So they were like, what is this product he's got, and this is not going to work. And they went and told my grandfather. And they've always been known for innovation. I mean, lightweight, definitely. Minimalistic design has always been part of their DNA, to sort of have the highest functionality possible with a minimalistic design. And in the high quality, I mean, just a point, when we spoke, actually went through some of their old presentations, they actually employ 18 people that spend a total of maybe 35 or 36,000 hours in one given working year just on quality
Wow.
checks. So
Wow.
each frame actually goes through 100 different quality checks before it actually leaves their warehouse to go somewhere.
Okay.
So these are few things, I mean, that make the product
And
special.
so their origin started because they wanted to fill that gap, where there were thick frames and they came out with the rimless, and that's when it was really shocking in the market to see something which was so light and different. And
Right.
acceptance was a challenge at that time, but then it just like went all out and everyone took to it so well.
No, I said, of course, it took its time. I mean, it is what it is today and over the last 10
Yeah,
years. So, I mean, the first 10 years and 12 years, like any new product and any new brand or any new service that comes into the market, takes time sort of get
absolutely.
used to it, and people sort of take time to accept it and come around. So they went through
Yeah,
that curve also, like any other company. But yeah, it is today
absolutely.
what it is because, I mean, of years of work from their side also on it.
Work from there, yeah. And why Austria though? Why did they start? I mean, their origins are Austria. They've always been there. They've never moved out from there. Is there any like reason for that?
They are an Austrian family. Mr. and Mrs. Arnold Schmidt are an Austrian family. They're based there. They were born and brought up there. And I mean, when you come to think of it, Austria neighbors Germany. Germany is also known for, luxury products coming out of there, Mercedes-Benz, all sorts of other sort of known iconic names that you know of today. So it is known for a place. It is known of a place for luxury and making luxury products. And they were
Okay,
based there, so it was, I think, somewhat a no-brainer for them. So this is, I think, yeah, this is the reason they were.
that's amazing. Cool. So, Silhouette like generally describes their eyewear as elegant and luxurious. I think one of their collections is also called the Elegance collection, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
right? So, what makes it that? What makes it so elegant, luxurious?
It's a combination of things. They spend a lot of time on research and development and innovation and this kind of thing to come up with a lot of. So they use maybe two materials predominantly. The two materials they use is titanium and SPX. So titanium is a material on its own that can't actually be used. It has to be refined to some degree. It has to be refined to achieve that form of lightness that you eventually see on the product. So they use a high-tech titanium that is also used by people in the space industry, in the space technology industry, to sort of make rockets and other equipment that goes up to space. So that's one of the materials that they use with regard to the craftsmanship. The other one that they use is a material called SPX. SPX stands for Silhouette Polyamide X. X is obviously the X component that they have. I mean, which they don't say, because otherwise, if we knew, then. So, I mean, again, the logic behind that was they wanted it to be something that felt like acetate or plastic, but much lighter. So even the
Like,
full length
okay.
frames that, I mean, you've sold, you have them at the stores. are much lighter than a normal acetate, but it still looks like a plastic or an acetate or something like that. So that was the idea behind patenting the material, refining it over the years. They still refine it through and through over the years. Of course, the other materials that they use aren't core materials, but they still do use luxury materials because it is a luxury brand. So they use carbon fiber, they use lacquer. Lacquer is a very luxury material that sort of requires a lot of know-how to sort of place right and get it correct and fit with the aesthetic and the design of the product that's being made. They have
Right.
a lot of products that use gold plating also, 23 karat gold plating. So that's one of the luxury materials they use. Not so much recently, but in the past, they've had some products that have come with leather also. These are some of the materials I think they use. But again, it's actually using the materials is one thing. Like I say, it's actually the know-how that they've built over the years and the expertise is actually what churns out the product that they do. I mean, me and you were talking, I think, a few days ago, and I was telling you I might put out some facts as to how many steps it takes to make one frame. You know, like when an end
Yeah.
user sees a rimless frame, he doesn't really know. I mean, he's like, okay, this must be made like so quickly. It looks 23 pieces, bridge, two sides, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it actually takes the company about 264 different individual unique steps to create that one product, and that obviously includes the quality checks and everything, but it's 264 different steps, you know. So I do my job, I pass it on to him, he does his job, he passes it on to somebody else, she passes it on to somebody else, and it takes close to 64 days to create one frame. So I mean, obviously there's a resting period between the frame. You
Wow.
make it, it sits in the night, all night, some drying, some this kind of thing. So that's pretty unique. I mean, to the product, I think 80% of the whole product is handmade. So that in itself sort of shouts out luxury. I mean, you know, most products in the luxury segment, I mean, a large part of them are handmade. I mean, there are unique properties attached to this kind of product, you know, that is handmade, albeit in any segment of product category. So no different for Silhouette also. And yeah, even like I was saying earlier, the full frames are 3.3 grams only, which is very light for, you know, pick up any other sort of frame and you'll know the difference. I mean, anyway, so.
I think that's the stickiness of the product comes from there, right? Like people wear it and then they don't feel like they're wearing anything. And that's
Yeah,
it. Then after that, they decide, okay, this is it. I'm not wearing any other frame after this.
yeah. No,
And it
we've
lasts
had,
you a long time. I think you were telling me about this, right?
no, so this is the 2 points that happen is we've had many stories. I think one of the most noticeable ones is the people sometimes fall asleep while they're wearing it. And when they wake up and they go to the bathroom or washroom and they want to wash their face and then they realize, okay, we still have our glasses on. So, I mean, that's the testimony, if any, for the product. And the second
Yeah.
one is, yeah, like a lot of optical stores that we work with tell us, you know, I mean, people don't come back for 4 years. We need to sell them new products, and you know that. And I'm like, this is a pickle now, you know. I mean, because if I'm selling you something that's not of the best quality, I'm told off, and so you know, just let the consumer enjoy the product.
No
And I mean,
complaints from us. No complaints.
in a time like this,
Yeah,
wouldn't you prefer dispensing a product like this? Because obviously you don't want people to come back to the store as often. I mean, the time
absolutely.
surrounds us of Corona, and also the product
Absolutely.
falls for much lesser defects compared to many other products. I mean, you know that. So that's
Yeah.
also good. I mean, you don't have people coming back in to service the product all the time. So at least in sort of a time like this, it helps out the optical store.
Yeah. So I think someone has also said that my mom used to throw it in anger and it never used to break. So there you
We
go.
do
That's your
always tell
quality check.
we do always tell opticians because many of them actually sell it to end users saying it's unbreakable, it's indestructible. So we do always
Right.
tell opticians it's nothing is unbreakable in
Nothing is
life.
unbreakable.
It's a
Absolutely.
sturdy
Yeah.
product, but like anything you buy that's of value to you, you have to take care of it and sort of nurture it, and it will last. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the good things about Silhouette. One, they are really lightweight, and they're really strong, sturdy, all of that. Of course, not unbreakable, but based on usage and the comments that have been shared here, it's not broken.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you have proof. So what are the iconic collections or the styles of Silhouette eyewear? You know, like there are a lot of brands who have been there for a long time. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just going to take one of them as an example. The iconic brands that I can think of is like Ray-Ban, which has
Ray-Ban.
been there from 1937, and those guys have aviators, the Wayfarers, the Club Masters. Those are like iconic styles. And similarly, I've seen certain styles in Silhouette which have been like timeless, right? So could you just share some of that with us?
So yeah, no, like you pointed out, I was going to say, I mean, there is a handful of products that you can even, think of or know that have sort of been there across, generations to so to speak of. Even Ray-Ban, you're right, is one of them. I mean, the Aviator's been there and sort of it's gone and come back and gone again and come back again. And in Silhouette, I think is one of those products in 1999, like I said, the one I was talking about, the flexible frame. A lot of people call it stretchable frame. A lot of people call it flexible frame,
I have one.
wireless. You
I
have
just got one to demonstrate. Yeah, I think this is the piece, right, that you're
this
talking
is the
about.
piece, yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
this is actually, they came out with this. It's actually called, amongst all these things that people call it in the trade, it's actually called TMA. So TMA stands for Titan Minimal Art.
Hmm.
Titan is a short form for titanium. Minimal because the product is very minimalistic, and art is because they consider it to be a piece of art. And of course, I mean, I think all of us would agree now that it is, given that it's been around for so long. So I think, yeah, when they launched the product in 1999, I mean, the world hadn't really seen something like this, or didn't know a product like this could even be functional, or would it break, or would it not break, or is it going to fall off,
How would it sit on your
how
face?
would it sit on
Yeah,
your face,
yeah,
all sorts of things. So
yeah.
but yeah, they did launch in 1999. Coming to today, I mean, we're maybe close to 21 years down the line, they've sold 12 million pieces just of this one style.
Wow.
So that's a huge number. Also, some of the facts they would give us about this product is every 50 seconds, one
Okay.
TMA is sold somewhere in the world. So every 50 seconds. So this is
So
some of
when
the
you
data
say
we have.
TMA, it's this, right?
It's this.
This
It's this.
belongs. It's this. Okay.
It's this.
All
This is
right.
TMA. This is tight minimal art. Of
Okay.
course, coming with the territory, like being there for so long, they won a lot of design awards, Red Dot awards, international. A lot of people have tried to do this. I mean, you've been in the trade, but somehow
Yeah.
they still remain one of the original ones that could do it. And, like people, when they think of the flexible frame, at least in the trade, they immediately think of Silhouette. So, yeah,
Yeah.
this is sort of been timeless, the piece. And it's, I think in 2009 or 10, what they did is they mounted a crystal on the same flexible frame. Again, at that point, there was this whole noise of, oh, the crystal will fall off, what will happen, how will it, how the glue, but it's a flexible frame if it stretches. Again, none of that. I mean, not too many breakages. They somehow still manage. So every about 8 to 10 years has been the average. They really come out with sort of knock it out of the park product that nobody's really seen, or that kind of innovation. So yeah, no, this is the story of TMA, and it still continues to be sort of the favorite, the hot favorite with the opticians in the trade. And
Yeah.
it has to be because, I mean, the consumers also have accepted the product. I mean, eventually you guys have to sort of move it, otherwise there's no point. So I mean, yeah, that tells the story of the product, and that gives you, I mean, sort of the strength that one product can have. Something very unheard of in most industries, I would say. I mean, it's handful of industries can say that they've had one product, the exact same thing, that hasn't been tampered with in the formula, same design, same aesthetic, same material, same everything, and 21 years later, it's still sort of
Yeah.
one of the highest selling products in the range. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
And what inspires their design? Like, how do they come out with the styles that, that they are looking, that they make regularly? What is it that, since it's minimal and all of that?
So, I mean, there are, when we meet with them, they show us a lot of visuals. They have mood boards like any brand would have, mood boards and color palettes. And they show you things which to some degree might not feel relevant, because we're sellers of the frame, we're traders of the frame. We're not creators or designers of the frame. So
Hmm.
we actually don't know how their mind equates a one and one to sort of put together a frame. But they show you different visuals, I mean, of different surfaces, of a car surface, of a bridge, of a luxury product, but not the product. It's just one particular curve or the corner of it. Personally, I'm not sure how they derive a design
Yeah. Yeah.
aesthetic out of it, and how that sort of pops down and trickles down into the design aesthetic in the final product that you see. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, they do produce beautiful, beautiful pieces. So surely they're doing something right.
Yeah, I think you were telling me that they also inspired a lot by architecture, and
They are,
so it's
they
a
are,
lot of the curves, the lines, the
yeah,
shadows. It could
yeah,
be a lot of different elements that are.
yeah.
But you also had mentioned that they do tie up with some designers, right? Like award-winning designers. Any names
So
that come
there
to your
are, I
mind for
think,
these?
every year they come out with one sort of designer sunglass collection, which is a collaboration with a local European designer.
Okay.
Many times Austrian designers, because of course they like to promote local designers. So there are a few. I mean, over the years they've done one with a designer called Wes Gordon. They've done one with a designer called Arthur Arbisser. More recently, maybe last year, they did one with a designer called Perry Sherrard. So many of these are unheard for us, but I mean, it's more the story between the designer and the creators at Silhouette, and sort of how they translate the vision of both and sort of fuse it into one sunglass. So it's usually a collection of 4 sunglasses that
Okay.
they make, and it's usually very, very different from the usual Silhouette sunglasses or any of the usual Silhouette frames. It always has a little extra pop or a little more. It's a little more fashionable. So yeah, trying to break the mold from their regular collection of simplicity and minimalism and that kind of thing. So.
Sure. So can you tell me something about the functional benefits of like SPX and, like their nose pads, the nose temple sides, and some of the aesthetic parts of it, which to a wearer, like for example, I've got this with me right now. And, I remember you telling me about the nose pads also and the material and
Right.
things like that.
Right.
So could you just like share some insights on that?
So I think the material in general has been designed and refined over the years to be super durable, flexible, and light. I mean, these are the core 3 things that they wanted to achieve. We've actually seen, when we go there, we've actually seen the material in its raw form. So it's a huge difference from what you see, a big pile of SPX in the factory, to when it actually
Uh-huh.
comes out in a frame, because they have to refine it. There's all sorts of like 264 steps. So the rimless may be slightly lesser for the SPX, maybe something close to 195.
Okay.
But when they churn it out, it goes through the process. Basically, the properties of the material that they've developed and patented have been made so that they're light. I mean, this has always been the core philosophy of Silhouette, and I mean, looks like it always will be. Also, any given part in the frame, albeit a rimless or albeit the full frame or a half frame, any part in the frame is comprises of these 2 materials. Of course, maybe they use the gold plating or the carbon fiber as an extra thing, but otherwise the nose pads also, that you, when you touch, many opticians also, when they touch it, they talk to us, they're like, oh, this is plastic. It feels like plastic, it might, but it's still SPX. The density of it is different. I mean, it's been refined down to a different level to be able to sort of feel softer, because it's a nose pad and not as sort of hard as it would on the side of a frame. But it is
Right.
still SPX. Even the temple tips that feel like metal
Yeah.
are either titanium or in some cases even SPX. So it depends on the
So
design aesthetic
that's,
of it. So in this case, I
yeah.
think the one you're holding is, because it's an
Yeah.
SPX temple, the tip is titanium. Uh,
Titanium.
it will feel slightly thicker than the titanium in the frame that you're holding, or the flexible one. But obviously,
Okay.
because that one has been refined down to that level to achieve that level of thinness and that level of sort of sleekness in the frame. In the tip,
Yeah.
they don't need that. They need to make it slightly thicker so it can actually, take some form of grip behind your ear.
Okay.
So
And I was reading about, it being somewhere between 1 mm and 6 mm, the max thickness in any
It,
of
it
their
is.
frames.
It is. So again, it depends on the frame. Like, it depends on the thickness of the temple. If you have a carbon fiber frame and the temple is maybe not slightly thicker, it has to be much thicker than what you have, because it has to sort of fit the carbon fiber component in there. So then when you go all the way down, the tip also
Yeah.
has to be slightly thicker, because I mean, it has to sort of go in proportion with the temple.
Okay.
So yeah, it's between 1 mm and 6 mm, keeps changing depending on the style, depending on the design, and
But the
depending sort of what
maximum has been
max would be.
6 mm.
Has
Okay.
been 6 mm, yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. So the TMA collection is one of the iconic collections. That's what you said, which has been there. It's timeless. It's been around for the longest.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've had like a lot of these iconic associations, right? Like celebrities, companies that have taken to them, or people who've used Silhouette. Could you like just share some information on that? Because that's always like really exciting
Right.
to hear about who's wearing which brand.
Let me start with the companies. I think the most noticeable sort of association they've had a few, but I think the
Hmm.
most noticeable association, and something that, I mean, they're proud of, we feel proud of it also, just being traders and sellers of the brand, is their association with NASA. I mean, they've had an association with the space agency since 2000. So I think over maybe 20 years now, almost. And the reason they have the association with NASA is because when astronauts used to go up in 2000, again, they used to face a challenge of sort of screws floating into outer space. And, maybe those screws at some point, even though they float in no gravity, sort of can damage your bodysuit or the mechanical suit that they wear, which then
Yeah.
can have some repercussion. And I mean, they don't know, what can happen if it punctures the bodysuit, and what happens, and what sort of
Yeah.
surgery they have to do at that point to sort of fix that. And so I mean, the idea for them was to wear firstly a frame which is very light, because again, in zero gravity you don't want to feel anything on your face really, because you're floating in space. And the second thing is the hazard of maybe screws and hinges just going floating in space if it just hits something. So these
Yeah.
were one of the two main reasons. Since 2000, they've had over 38 missions that have gone up to space. Each of them, I mean, all astronauts have worn Silhouette, and I mean, all sorts of testimonies are available on YouTube and this kind of thing. So it's eventually come to a situation where they were made to wear it because of the functionality of the product, and it's sort of worked out to be where they don't want to change, like how normal Silhouette users don't want to change because of the
Don't want to
lightness and the
change.
comfort.
Yeah, exactly.
I
No
think
fun in
they've
changing something that you're comfortable with already. Like why reinvent the machine when it's already doing well, right?
Yeah, so my dad keeps saying,
Yeah.
for general things also, he keeps saying, don't fix something that's not broken. So yeah, that's what it is. Collectively, I think they've had all astronauts put together in space have had collectively 11,243 hours in space where they've
Wow.
been wearing Silhouette. So even the recent SpaceX that went up, they was also wore Silhouette. There is enough testimony, and the reasons, I mean, are these. But leaving aside that, from the functionality side of the product, I mean, when you wear it under a helmet, there's no pressure because it's very
There's
light,
no,
so the
that's true.
helmet goes down very quickly without actually disturbing the frame and actually not moving too much. So that's one of the reasons. Second, like I've already mentioned, it was the best fit to have been found in zero gravity. So yeah, these are the reasons. So this was one of their bigger sort of associations that they've had, and noticeably, this has also been sort of timeless, like the frames that they sell. With regard to celebrities, Silhouette historically, I mean, always has never had a policy of sort of endorsing a celebrity and sort of making it the face and sort of blowing up sort of billboards or using it wherever on digital media, wherever. So they firmly believe, like, if you love a Silhouette, I mean, you wear it. And over the years, I mean, there are n number of celebrities that have worn it, like even in sort of their private life, even in the public space, only because they love the product. I mean, so all sorts of examples. International guys, you have Robert Downey Jr., you have Brad Pitt that's worn it in The Big Short. Locally, you have it. A lot of people, I mean, locally, we've had so many big celebrities where Amitabh Bachchan wears it in Sarkar, and you have like the Prime Minister of our country, Modi ji, wears it. I think he's been wearing it for over 12 years now. I think the same frame, over 12 years now. So he's been literally, he's
Wow.
not changed his frame. He only changes it on Independence Day. And that's the day all our phones go crazy, because he still wears a Silhouette on Independence Day, but it's just a different style. Like it's a thicker side one. So
Okay.
literally 15th August every year, I mean, every day we get messages after the speech. What is this frame? What is this frame? What is this frame? So yeah, that's, I mean, a big testimony that. But likewise, many world leaders. I mean, if you pull up YouTube,
Yeah.
many world leaders, politicians, bankers, and industrialists, all sorts of people. I mean, they like the brand. So I'm assuming it's because it's simple and minimalistic and light, and that's the reason. So yeah.
Yeah. So just to like wrap it up, Mukul, what else would you like to say about Silhouette? In terms of the pricing, the warranty, I think these are the only two aspects that I could think about.
So I think the warranty is pretty standard as for what you have for any luxury product around the world. I mean, it is a 1 year warranty that we have on the product on a manufacturing defect. In most cases, you don't have too many manufacturing defects. This is what we've seen from history. But yeah,
Hmm.
obviously, I mean, we always try to do our best to service, I mean, the product, because at the end of the day, the user wearing the product is key, and he has to feel happy and comfortable when he
Yeah.
goes home, and with the service of it. So with regard to the pricing, I think it is priced, personally, I feel, not too high, because I think if you go around the world, I mean, the price of a Silhouette is still 25%, 20, in some cases between 20 and 30% higher on the end user price in
Yeah.
many countries, as opposed to India. In India, it is this way. I mean, try to sort of keep it as as affordable for people as possible. I mean, we are a developing country, and I mean, we also hope and sort of want to have like give people as many people the chance to sort of enjoy the frame as possible. So yeah, that's
Yeah. So it's like access to good quality products,
yeah.
right? So that's a good thing. So you're saying that it's priced like approximately 25% cheaper than the rest of the world, right? Around 20 to 20.
In most cases, so there are countries that are somewhat on par with us, but in most
Uh-huh.
in most European countries, in most Western countries, they are about 25% higher. And I mean, people that wear it know it also because they travel. I mean, they see. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
So someone wanted to know what the price range is for. I think it starts from around 15,000, if I'm not wrong, right? The
something like that. Maybe
starting,
something
yeah,
like that. Maybe 14, 15. It depends on the model that's coming, and sometimes you have one at a lower price. Up all the way to maybe so, but 30, 33. I think are the ones with the gold plating, with the lacquer. Like it always has some element of luxury, like the material. There will be something. I mean, there'll be carbon fiber, there'll be gold plating, there'll be lacquer, or there'll be some stones used. If it's a lady's frame, there could be Swarovski crystals. It goes up a few thousand or down based on the number of crystals they've used, because some they have only one crystal, some they have a combination of crystals. So so
yeah,
it depends, but it by and large, I think the core collection is between 15 and 25. I think by and large.
25, right. Okay, and the crystals that you mentioned were the Swarovski crystals, if I'm not wrong, which are used, or are
Right,
they?
right,
They're Swarovski
right,
crystals.
right.
Okay.
No, they are Swarovski crystals. Yeah.
Right. And then someone else was asking us for, if someone has -7, what would be the cost of the frame and glasses? So lenses Silhouette doesn't make. It's only the eyewear that they make. Of course, the sunglasses come with the lenses in it, but those are zero powered. So for the lenses, you would have to reach out to us and then we would help you out with that. Does Silhouette make lenses and sunglasses as well? No, not lenses. They make only the frames or the sunglasses. But Sai Durga's question on -7 lenses, that we can take it offline for sure and help you out with the answers to that. So yeah, and there's a surprise question. Everyone's ready for this. Name the one famous astronomical company in the world, international, that uses Silhouette eyewear, and DM us the answers. Do not put it out here. And who is the one famous iconic personality that has in India who's been using Silhouette eyewear for 12 years? So DM us the answers to both these questions and do not put it out here. Oh, someone's already put it out here. Okay, let's see who gets both right.
What? Let me ask the question. If you can, if you want to use it, you can. So, what are the two core materials that are used
Yeah,
by Silhouette in the manufacturing of their frames? So, only
that's
the
a
two
good
core
question.
materials.
Yeah. So I think since one of the answers are already out here, we are going to change it. So what are the two core materials that are used by Silhouette in the manufacturing process? So you get the answer to that right, and we'll take that as a surprise question instead. I hope everyone's listening. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up, and it's been like a pretty interesting discussion on like Silhouette eyewear. Thanks a lot, Mukul, for like joining us.
Thank
And
you.
do you have anything else on Silhouette that you want to share? Is there anything else that you would like to?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything about the product. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you to all the followers of SR Gopal Rao on the Instagram page to come and watch us over here today. And yeah, all I can say is I'm pretty sure all of you haven't sort of used the Silhouette. So maybe after this, some of you get a chance to sort of experience it and enjoy the product. You have a great service provider in form of SR Gopal Rao on the other side. That's going to service your product and also for the lenses. So you're in good hands. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the product.
Okay, this is interesting. How inspired is the brand from mainstream fashion?
Not so much. I would say not so much. I mean, if you see their products, most of them are sort of individually created with inspiration of simplicity and lightness. Fashion is more, I would say, inspired by what's actually trending out there and like what new sort of more with designer labels and fashion names and that kind of thing. Silhouette is more towards simplicity and like elegance and simple designs and this kind of thing. So I wouldn't say it's too inspired by what's happening out there in the fashion world, but they do obviously for their sunglasses take inspiration and still try to sort of fuse it and merge it with their DNA, which is lightness and simplicity. And so I don't think you'll ever see Silhouette have like a big thick temple with a big Silhouette logo. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen that till today. That's something that they wouldn't do, and that's something that they won't take from the fashion world. But they still will take some shapes and colors and sort of fuse it with thinner designs and thinner temples and this kind of thing to create a fashionable product that also retains their DNA.
I think what rather more than being inspired by fashion, because after you mentioned architecture, it just like struck me that yeah, a lot of their lines and their shapes are very, architecturally oriented. Like yeah, they are a lot about that. And the other thing is like when it comes to fashion, right? They do take a lot of colors as inspiration from like the fashionable. Like they do see a way. Gold, of course, they've used for like the rimless ones, but their newer
Right.
styles have a blend of gold with other colors, which is what is trending now anyway.
They do. So it's always a mix and match. I mean, like I said, they pick up something of in form of an inspiration, like maybe the shape, and they tweak it a little bit, or they pick up some colors that are in sort of in season. It keeps changing every few months. You have sort of new flavor, new color, new shape,
Yeah.
and they sort of try and fuse it in with their DNA, which is lightness, minimalism, simplicity, quality materials, and then they sort of come out with something. So obviously, the end result is not going to look the same as a fashion brand or that kind of
Yes.
thing, but you
I
will still
agree.
have some
Yeah.
elements of it which sort of enables them to stay true to their DNA and their sort of properties, which and their sort of vision of what they have for the product and the company. Also, sort of taking in little bits and bobs from what's happening out there in the world. So yeah.
Yeah. So someone says my aunt in the US used it in snow. It flexes well. Titanium nitrate gives the gold finish. Nice. That's interesting. So yeah, thank you everyone for attending the session today. And we hope you've got the surprise question, the answers to it. We are going to check it out and announce the winners tomorrow. And Mukul, thank you so much for being here and sharing so much insightful information on Silhouette with us. It was
No,
really nice.
thank you
Yeah.
for having me. And yeah, stay safe, everyone.